Behind the gilded walls of the Forbidden City, where cherry blossoms masked the scent of fear and silk curtains concealed unspeakable horrors, the Qing dynasty's imperial harem operated as one of history's most ruthless institutions. In 1661, as Emperor Kangxi ascended to power, thousands of young women from across the empire found themselves trapped in a labyrinth of jealousy, manipulation, and deadly competition, where survival meant abandoning every trace of humanity. What appeared to the outside world as a palace of luxury was, in reality, a carefully orchestrated system of psychological warfare where women were reduced to mere pawns in an elaborate game of power. The morning ritual began before dawn, as hundreds of concubines lined the marble corridors, their painted faces hiding trembling hearts. Each knew that a single misstep, a poorly timed glance, or an ill-chosen word could mean the difference between favor and a slow, agonizing death. The air itself seemed poisoned with ambition as these women, some barely past childhood, learned to smile while plotting each other's destruction. Emperor Kangxi, despite his reputation as a benevolent ruler, maintained absolute control through a system so brutal that even seasoned court officials whispered about it in hushed tones. The selection process alone revealed the dynasty's true nature. Families across China would sell their daughters, believing they were securing prosperity, unaware they were signing death warrants. Those chosen faced a journey that began with promise, but ended in a nightmare from which few would ever wake. The imperial physicians documented symptoms of what we now recognize as severe psychological trauma, though their records were systematically destroyed to protect the dynasty's image. If you're fascinated by these hidden histories that shaped entire civilizations, you'll want to stay connected for more shocking revelations about the world's most secretive royal courts. The Forbidden City's harem quarters, known as the Inner Palace, housed over 3,000 women during Kangxi's reign, yet fewer than 50 would ever lay eyes on the emperor himself. The remaining thousands existed in a state of perpetual limbo, their lives governed by an intricate hierarchy that made medieval feudalism look progressive by comparison. At the apex sat the empress, followed by imperial noble consorts, imperial concubines, noble ladies, first-class female attendants, and finally, the countless unnamed servants who disappeared without trace when they became inconvenient. This pyramid of desperation created an environment where women would poison each other's tea, spread rumors that led to executions, and form alliances that crumbled the moment opportunity presented itself. The Palace of Earthly Tranquility, ironically, named, witnessed more violence than most battlefields as women fought with hairpins, silk scarves, and carefully administered toxins that left no evidence. Historical records, recently uncovered in the Beijing Palace Museum archives, reveal that Emperor Kangxi himself encouraged this competition, believing that only the most cunning and ruthless women deserved to bear his children. The selection ceremonies held every 3 years resembled slave markets more than royal appointments. Young women, aged 14 to 16, were examined like livestock, their teeth checked, their bodies measured, their family histories scrutinized for any hint of disloyalty. Those deemed suitable faced immediate separation from their families forever. The emperor's eunuchs, themselves victims of brutal castration, took particular pleasure in breaking the spirits of new arrivals. They understood that creating dependency and fear was essential to maintaining order in this powder keg of human desperation. The initiation process involved 3 months of intensive training in court etiquette, sexual techniques, and most importantly, the art of surviving in an environment where trust was fatal and mercy was weakness. New concubines learned to taste their food for poison, to sleep with one eye open, and to interpret every gesture and expression as potential threats or opportunities. The daily routine within the harem followed a schedule designed to maximize psychological pressure while maintaining the illusion of luxury. Dawn brought the mandatory beauty rituals, where concubines spent 4 hours applying makeup, arranging hair, and donning elaborate silk robes that cost more than most Chinese families earned in a lifetime. Yet beneath these stunning exterior presentations lay women who hadn't eaten a full meal in weeks, terrified that gaining even a pound might cost them their position or their lives. The morning inspection by the head eunuch determined each woman's fate for the day. Those in favor might receive better food rations or coveted positions closer to the emperor's quarters, while those who had fallen from grace faced confinement, reduced meals, or worse. The afternoon education sessions, supposedly designed to cultivate refined ladies worthy of imperial attention, actually served as elaborate torture sessions where women were forced to memorize thousands of court protocols while competing for the instructor's approval. A single mistake in reciting poetry or demonstrating proper tea ceremony technique could result in public humiliation or private punishment that left permanent scars. The emperor's visits, rather than bringing relief, intensified the competition to dangerous levels. Word would spread through the quarters like wildfire when Kangxi planned to select companions for the evening, triggering frenzied preparation that often ended in violence. Women would sabotage each other's clothing, spread false rumors about illnesses, or even resort to physical attacks disguised as accidents. The lucky few, chosen for imperial attention, faced their own unique horrors. Failure to please the emperor meant immediate exile to the outer quarters, where forgotten concubines slowly starved to death in silk-lined cells. Success brought its own dangers, as pregnancy made one a target for every other woman desperate to secure her position. The imperial physicians, complicit in this system, maintained detailed records of each woman's menstrual cycles, fertility, indicators, and physical condition, treating human beings like prized breeding stock. Most disturbing were the systematic methods used to maintain control through fear and division. The Imperial Intelligence Network employed concubines as spies against each other, rewarding betrayal with temporary privileges while ensuring that trust became impossible. Every conversation was potentially monitored. Every friendship could be a trap, and every alliance might prove fatal. The punishment system escalated from psychological torture to physical brutality with methodical precision. Minor infractions resulted in social isolation, reduced food rations, or assignment to the most degrading servant duties. Moderate offenses brought public humiliation, beatings administered by other concubines, or forced participation in the execution of fellow prisoners. Serious violations led to creative tortures that pushed the boundaries of human endurance. Slow poisoning, deliberate infection with diseases, or being sewn into silk bags and left to suffocate slowly in hidden chambers beneath the palace. The most severe punishment, reserved for those who dared challenge the system directly, involved being declared dead while still alive, erased from all records, and condemned to spend their remaining years as nameless shadows serving in the deepest tunnels of the Forbidden City. Emperor Kangxi's personal involvement in designing these punishments revealed a sadistic streak that contradicted his public image as a wise and benevolent ruler. He would often observe punishments from hidden alcoves, taking notes on which methods proved most effective at breaking spirits while maintaining the women's outward beauty. The emperor particularly enjoyed psychological games, such as promising freedom to women who successfully eliminated their rivals, then executing the winners for their crimes. This created an environment where morality became a luxury that none could afford, transforming ordinary young women into calculating predators willing to commit any atrocity for the slightest chance of survival. The system's true genius lay in its ability to perpetuate itself through the victim's own desperation. Women who managed to survive their first years in the harem often became the most vicious enforcers of its brutal hierarchy, understanding that showing mercy to newcomers would be interpreted as weakness that could cost them everything, like discovering these incredible historical mysteries that reveal humanity's darkest chapters. Share your thoughts below about how power corrupts even its victims. And don't forget to explore more untold stories that challenge everything you thought you knew about ancient civilizations. The Empress herself, theoretically at the pinnacle of female power, lived in constant terror of being displaced by younger, more beautiful, or more fertile competitors. Historical documents reveal that Kangxi's primary wife, Empress Xiao Chengren, died under mysterious circumstances that strongly suggested poisoning, likely orchestrated by rival concubines with the emperor's tacit approval. The cycle continued for over 2 centuries, with each generation of women learning to embrace the very brutality that had victimized them, ensuring that the Qing dynasty's harem remained a functioning monument to human cruelty disguised as imperial grandeur. Modern historians estimate that fewer than 1% of women who entered the imperial harem during the Qing dynasty lived to see their 30th birthday, and fewer still retained their sanity.